What's up and welcome to Idle Insights, a show where each week I, Treavor Bettis, talk to interesting people about idle champions and Dungeons and Dragons. And returning with me this week is the incredible Vee Mus'e!
It's me. Hi. And we have Rory,
Yes, and
who's
the
kind of hanging
Rory.
out.
Rory is here for when we, it's just like the surprise cat. People come in the
She's
chat,
wandering.
surprise cat.
Yep, she's wandering. She's doing her thing. She'll be flitting around behind in the backdrop, so we can play Where's Waldo, except it's Rory.
The chat's going to be full of cat and whatever keyword for the giveaway is later. Speaking of the giveaway later, we're live right now, folks. Well, unless you're watching this later on YouTube, but that's a whole other thing. Yeah, we're live right now on Twitch, so we will be doing a giveaway in the middle of the show to get 42 chests of your choice, excluding Bahamut chests. And you can also leave questions in the chat for V as we talk about some behind the scenes stuff of a D&D stream.
Ooh, yes.
But I now have more than one icebreaker question, because I usually
okay.
for everyone's first episode I do how do you get into D&D, and now I've done a list of them for when people return, because that happens.
That's smart. I like it. All right.
So my question at the top here for you, V, who is your first D&D character?
Oh, Gwendolyn Lightfoot.
Gwendolyn Lightfoot.
Yes.
That's an incredible name.
She was my little gnome druid, and this was like 3.5 era. So she was this little gnome druid, and she had a companion, large black cat named Panther. I know, shockingly creative. Absolutely. But yeah, I would play her, and as she leveled up, she would start doing things like riding around on the Panther for like attacks and stuff. So she basically turned into Shira on Battle Cat.
Yeah. That's
but yeah,
so
that was
cool.
my first D&D character.
Gwendolyn Lightfoot. That's so good. I love it.
Yeah. God, I haven't thought of her in ages.
Well, see, that's the thing. Like, I want to try and find some questions that were like nostalgic in a way, going back to the beginning for folks playing this awesomely fun game. But we're gonna talk about behind the scenes stuff. So V, and I say this for after that one because it's important to this. Who are you for Idle Champions?
I that sounded way more maniacal than it actually
It really
is.
did. It really did.
Don't be fooled by the lady behind the curtain type of thing. What's the line? No, basically I am the partner and talent manager for Codename Entertainment, which basically means I'm the one who's talking with the various partners, the various content creators, and everything like that. So it's a lot of logistics and organization, and getting one thing to lead to the next thing to happen for the other thing that's going on. And I live in my emails and direct messages is basically
There's a lot of jobs at C&E that like the art team. I look at that and like, I could never be on that team. I have no artistic talent in that way. There's the development team, like, I don't know how to code. And I look at your job, I'm like, I'm not nearly a quarter organized enough to do that job.
I honestly, like, I have told people in the past, like, you remember the old train station schedules that they like show in movies and stuff, where it's like something happens and it just goes. That's my brain. Okay, that's how my brain functions.
That is fair. That is fair.
So it's like something's happening, it adjusts, and then the thing just goes, and it's just running on schedule.
Yeah. And the is emails and calendar invites and all of those fun things.
Emails, meetings, calendar invites, messages, Discord. I communicate with a lot of people all the time. It's very interesting.
So I'm actually gonna move around my questions here because I kind of want to start with this behind the scenes of Isle Champions Presents. So when we're getting ready to do an Isle Champions Presents, like, what does the start of that look like for you?
Start of Idle Champions Presents looks like about 6 to 8 months before we actually go live. Yeah. So it starts with basically a concept of kind of what we want to do with the storyline for the campaign, thinking about what the campaign's going to be, and then tapping into content creators who would, the champions and the content creators themselves would be a great fit for that type of storyline concept. And also, played in the game and that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that starts way ahead of time. So it's a lot of meetings with myself and Dupuy and Dylan, and we'll just chat about things, and then B-Dave will obviously be there as well as we start getting more into the thick of things, and then it starts sort of it starts as a seed concept, like literally it's
Mm-hmm.
this tiny little concept that we start with, and then as it starts building, it's okay, so then we start doing, I'll take over reaching out to the content creators, getting things organized, start figuring out what type of schedule we're looking at for them. And then, Dupuy does all of his grand scheming for the in-game stuff, and Dylan does all the plotting and the planning in terms of the votes and the campaign with B-Dave and everything like that. So it's fun to watch these grow. It's definitely a lot of work that I don't think people realize is
Yeah.
happening behind the
Yeah.
scenes, because the cast does such a great job of making it fun and enjoyable and a great experience when it's time to finally go live with those episodes.
Mm-hmm.
But it's cool, it's fun, and it's just again, it's that train station schedule. It's like all these things going on at once, and just making sure, like, the various approvals are happening, the design calls are happening,
Yeah.
people are making their call times and everything like that.
Well, and I think there's one other thing. I mean, I hope people assumed that we do this, but I think another part of it that I know you're present there for is the session 0 for these games. What are those like?
The session zeros are basically something that we'll do closer to when we go live. And it's basically getting everyone together, and I'll facilitate so that BJ can kind of run through what he's planning on doing, and then advocate for the players as well if they have things they want to bring up and they want to talk about. And we'll go through, lines and veils, things that are, yes, we're cool with playing this type of thing. Absolutely not. We're not going to be doing this type of concept, this type of thematic, what have you. And it's pretty much like, other session zeros that people should have. I'll say that right now. That people should have within their games, whether it's at the beginning, whether you have a touch base session 0 midway through your campaign. Hey, that's actually a thing that you can do. Did you know that? But on top of just the general chatting with each other, how the character's going to interact with each other, expectations, etc. It's also so then we sort of give the backstage rundown of, like, don't forget, we're going to be on Twitch, which means you have to keep it to PG-13.
Yeah.
This is your call time. This is how we're going to be communicating with each other while we are live, because it's one of those things when you're on a stream, you can't just go, excuse me, I want to. A lot of times that's stuff that's being done behind the scenes with messaging. And then, when we are live, that's where, if anything comes up that wasn't addressed in session 0, they can message me directly through private messages or through a Zoom call or what have you. And that's where I'll jump in and flag. It's like, hey, we need to make sure this, that, and the other thing is taken care of. Again, to keep things moving smoothly. So it's session 0, and it's also sort of, I don't want to call it a dress rehearsal, but a production meeting. Yeah. There is some production to it. Yeah.
I know that so many people do the messaging behind the scenes for some people are like, what is this rule, or like, I want to do this or something like that. The thing, I always am so paranoid when I'm typing on camera, because I'm worried that everyone knows that I'm typing on camera, but I never notice anyone else ever doing it. I don't know why I have the perception that everyone can tell when I'm typing. I don't know.
Well, it's only if you're banging your keyboard and being really loud about it.
Okay,
that's where it draws attention.
See, here's the problem. If I'm using the keyboard I have right now, it's fine. If I'm using this keyboard, everyone will know I'm using it.
Yeah, that's a fun one.
Yeah, that thing is purposefully the loudest keyboard I could get. Because I wanted my wife to know when I'm writing in the other room.
Just FYI.
Yeah. So you're there live during the shows. So
I'm basically like ground control.
Yeah. So like,
comes time to it.
As long as everything goes well in the episode, like, what is your time during that looking like?
My time during that episode is having our chats up with the cast, which I like to use Discord for that, because then I can have private messages as well as a group chat all at the same time. Also chat with the production group, which is the moderators and the video producer. Then I'll also have like our company chat open, which is a separate program. Then I'll have like, hi chat, I'm watching you right now. I'll have the Twitch chat open, and I'll be watching that too. So basically it's my eyes are jumping around between probably about 7 different windows, keeping tabs on what's happening with the storyline, which I'm making mental notes about, so that if there's something we need to go back and address, or if there's something where I need to keep in mind for next episode, if the DM needs support or that type of thing, hey, what happened at this point? Do you recall?
Yeah.
And then so I'll be keeping tabs on the storyline. I'll be keeping an eye on the chats with everyone to make sure everything's okay. If things start getting intense, that's where I do like the the check-ins, like
Yeah.
the X's and O's. So I'll check in with cast members, you doing okay, everything all right, that type of thing. I'll be interacting with the moderators. It's like, hey, noticing this is going on, or if they notice something is happening production wise, and I mean, going back to the content creator and choice, be like, hey, can you just fix your mic a little bit because it's either A, too low, B, too soft type of thing. So I'm busy.
Yeah.
I'm watching, but I'm busy.
That is a level of multitasking that I know I would just get absolutely lost in, like, because not only like are you keeping an eye on all those chats, but like also in your mind of like, okay, this was a really good scene that happened here that responded really well with the audience, so you're keeping track of like what's going on in the game as well as how chat's reacting to that.
Oh yeah.
And oh man.
Like I'll pull things from the chat if I know someone's like mentioning like, oh, this would be a cool thing for in the game itself. I'll, yoink that and just, drop it in a little file where it's like, hey, just not saying it would happen, but
yeah,
if it's something where there's a cool opportunity, we have things like that kind of compiled together. So it's I guess concierge in a way, like making sure everyone's wishes are being paid attention to.
Yeah. Well, no, and I like that you brought up the like taking stuff out of chat and suggestions and whatnot. Like, I do think that I definitely had this perspective when I was just playing games and stuff like that. Like I imagined throwing something out like that in a chat was just throwing it out to the ether. But like we do actually like look at those and we grab those and we'll hold on to them and have a discussion about them of like I mean like the one that obviously pops in my head is Jeremy. I had no hand in that. I never once suggested let's do Jeremy as a familiar. I found out during a meeting that was happening, and it was because someone else had grabbed. It may have been Lauren or somebody grabbed the thing from chat and put it in the suggestion, and so things like that do happen. Don't.
It was absolutely a thing of did people really like this character? Heck yeah, they did. Yeah. So it definitely helps. So yeah, it's I like watching and seeing what's going on with everyone, both for who is presenting their characters on the screen, but also how the chat is responding, what they're locking into, what concepts they seem to be enjoying the most, because that's helpful for future iterations too. When we have series coming up in the future, it's like, well, let's keep in mind that this was mentioned for this particular one. So how do we want to kind of use that as a guide for what we want to do for the next series?
Yeah. I do want to note for chat though, just we grab the suggestions. It's not that every one of them is going to be used, but we do grab them to have a discussion about it.
Yes.
That is the really big thing. There has to be a discussion about these sort of things. So I asked the question a little ways back there of like, as long as everything goes well in a ICP episode. Oh, by the way, you may hear us say ICP several times through this. That is how we internally refer to Idle Champions Presents. We're not talking about clowns or their posse. I know it's very I literally said to my wife earlier today, I'm like, wow, ICP doesn't even register as Insane Clown Posse to me anymore.
No, it doesn't anymore. And I have used it in like shorthand with friends and like, Vee, we didn't think that was your style of music. I'm like, what?
Sorry, I have ICP tonight. Oh, be sure to send us a picture of your outfit.
They're thinking completely different things than what my reality is, but hey, I'll go with it.
So like recently, things happen. Like this is the thing. Like these are live production things. Things happen, and we don't have a curated sets where we can be sure that everything's going well, the internet's going fine, and all of that. Things happen. And in the most recent one, you hopped in as a character, which I don't even think is the first time you've done that. Have you hopped in as a character before? I can't remember.
I have hopped in as a voice to scare the bejesus out of people. I have hopped in as a DM, and I've hopped in as a character now. So I've kind of done some unexpected things.
So for this one, the character, did you have that like ready to go just in case, or what
No,
happened there?
no. So what happened with that is, again, because I keep in touch with I don't know why I'm holding a paintbrush, wrong stream. Oh, I keep in contact with our content creators between shows and everything like that. Just, touch base, everything like that. And I got a message from Gabe, and then like soon after got a message from B Dave, and this was like late at my time at night because I'm on the East Coast. So I think it was like 11 o'clock at night, and Gabe is just like, V, you won't believe what's happening. And then B Dave sends his message because Gabe was leaving me hanging. B Dave's like, yeah, we're not gonna have Gabe tomorrow. Like, there's a high chance we won't have Gabe tomorrow. I was like, okay, cool. Let me mull on this for Sunday night before I go to bed in a half hour.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So what happened with that was kind of holding our breath, hoping that Gabe would magically have a flight appear for him and get back in time. Although I kind of knew where he was coming from and where they were going to have to go. Like, this is probably not going to work out. So what I did in that case, when we got confirmation, like, okay, so we have Solak. Solak is a ranger. Solak is, a native to Kryn and knows all these things and stuff. So we need a character to jump in because BD's like, we need another character. Can you jump in? So like, we need a character who is native to Kryn and, kind of rangery, like has a lay of the land type of concept. And I also needed just to pull something where I didn't have to create a whole new sheet because this was literally, I think I had an hour. I had an hour of play to create something before I actually needed to get into production stuff. So it turned into, okay, well, naturey, what could be fun? I'm like, well, not a druid because we have Marilyn, but oh, wait, druids, that could be a fun connection to have something to connect to Marilyn. It's like druid, dryad. Okay, dryad. So that's where I started looking into D&D Beyond and just looking at all the different things. And I saw the Conclave Dryad and I was like, okay, let's have fun with this. So that is usually an Eberron thing that they have as set up in D&D Beyond, but I tweaked it to be Kryn appropriate. So instead of, I forget what the particular god is in Eberron, I switched it over to Habakkuk, I think is the Kryn god. It's the one that Lauren's gonna love this. It's the one that's symbol looks like a phoenix. Yes, because like they're a patron to rangers and nature, that type of thing. Yeah, there you go. So I just started connecting all these dots that would sort of logically make sense to what this character would be. And I was like, okay, this will work. Great. Have it. It's, a mix of ranger, mix of druid in its own way, shape, or form. And it also has this ability to call a mount, basically. I'm like perfect, because this was also the Dragonelle episode. So everyone's getting their dragons. So I'm like, perfect. She can have one of her own. And that way it's sort of like, well, you got to follow me. You need someone to follow, but you have to be on something. So it was all these like putting the pieces together. And then the voice, honestly, just came out of my back pocket of one of these characters I have in my baby's place. Her name's Evie. And she's always been one of these characters that people just flock to. I'm like, well, I'm using Evie's voice because I didn't have time to come up with one for Leanne.
That's fine. People can have the same voice.
And that's just it. Like I put too much time thinking about the name itself because I was looking for something, tree related. Yeah. And I went with Leanne because you can look up the meaning of Leanne, Google that later. But yeah, so that's honestly how Leanne came to be as a crap. We need to connect the dots. We need all these things to sort of if this, then that, and how, and put the puzzle piece together. And it's one of those things. It's like, okay, and we're going live in half an hour.
And so, yeah. I really do like that because like you have a knowledge of what is going to be happening in these games, and so like you almost kind of made a player character as a DM making an NPC.
Yeah.
I really like, and like now that's all like, oh, I kind of love that way of making a character. Like, okay, we're gonna plug all of these things in and see what that looks like.
Yeah. There were so many if this then that must need type of scenarios connected to this character. But it's like, if anything, now I know it's like, okay, so I created Leanne. Leanne is now floating out there in the Spelljammery ether. So it's like, well, if anything, I could feasibly bring Leanne back for future episodes if needed. So I'm like, okay, Leanne is going to be my go-to fill in the blank. But if not, if it's one of those things where it's like, well, we're going to need a backup thing just in case like that ever again, I now know part of my pre-production stuff is creating a character just to have,
It's not
just
a bad
in
idea.
case.
Yeah.
Yeah, just in case. Because yes, I do have Veronica in the game, and she is a champion. However, she's a very select type of personality.
I can't
And
imagine just dropping Veronica into any situation. That just sounds like a derailment waiting to happen.
she is chaotically evil. Just saying. Plus, we had Miria in the game already, and quite frankly, the two of them need to have tea. I'm gonna hold to this. We need to have Miria and Veronica together and just have fun.
Oh my god!
And because I knew that Mark's champion was gonna be launching, I'm like, I don't want to bring in a character that is so similar in terms of you know, the way they function. That it would have been fair. So I'm like, I need something as an offset. Which is why I didn't just be like, okay, I'll come in as Veronica. I'm like, no, it's too it's gonna turn into girls' day out at Kryn.
But see, that's thinking of it in the production way of it, and making sure that all these pieces still fall in place. That's really cool. Yeah, I do like the idea of having the side character prepped, because like, I mean, that's almost great, because like you're making a character. It's like, well, this might get used, but it might not. But it could be used somewhere else down the line too.
It could. It could.
Yeah.
Oh, hi.
Oh, it's Aurora time.
It's Aurora. All right, so we're gonna baby it right now.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So, but I have to call this out. So Vee does this thing where she'll like pat her cats like that, right? And I saw you doing that, and I did it to my cat once, and she was just like, I don't know if I like that. And then I did it to her again, and she was like, okay, no, I really like that. And now I do that to her all the time. and she goes.
That's what she's doing right now. Say hi to the people. People, hi. There we
go. Okay, so I do have a couple of semi choose your darlings or questions. Do you have a favorite moment from any ICP? And this is from the shows themselves.
Oh man. God, you made this a hard.
I did. Just wait till the next one.
Dang it. I think what I liked from the most recent one is the whole big thing was, how were Marilyn and Miria going to get on? And the answer was famously that seeing that friendship bud and become something was just so dang endearing. But then also watching replaying Sentry and just being so nurturing but innocent at the same time in this very dark world. Was just like, she just created these moments of like, oh. So it was fun to see the dichotomy between these very dark and heavy themes that the players were dealing with, but then see them have these really sweet, soft, adorable moments together at the same time. So that I really enjoyed from the most recent one, for sure.
Gauntlet Blade in the chat said sultry for the win.
Sultry for the win. Sultry and Miria win.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I didn't know about that one.
Yep. Those two are floating around.
I think that's, like, to my knowledge anyways, like, I think that's the first time, like, we've had any shipping going on in Idol Champions.
Yeah. Which was, it was a fun dynamic to watch play out with the chat. They're like, come on, give us more sultry. Which you have to be careful when you're relaying that information. It's like, check the spelling. I'm not gonna say give me more sultry when that's not what I mean.
Oh jeez. Yeah, the honestly, like, I've said this on shows before, but like, my favorite thing with ICP is seeing people who have these really well established characters interacting with each other in groups that they've never interacted with before. I love seeing that stuff and how it works out, because like, there is something different to it than the level 1 meet in a tavern thing, because you're still figuring out your character, they're still figuring out their character. It is such a wild thing to watch people who have played characters for years interact with each other. There's so much history there for themselves and everything.
I mean, they have such an intimate knowledge of And it's not that cliche, well, my character would do that. It's like they truly know
Yeah.
this character as their own separate entity with thoughts and feelings and emotions.
Yeah.
So when they say my character, no, they really mean this is what the character would be doing.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating to watch it play out. And you'll see that on my end when I'm behind the scenes, when the crew is chatting with each other in their game chat. And you can see them going back and forth like, hey, this is something they really would want to do and interact. Are you cool with my doing this with your character? And there was so much checking in with each other and making sure it's like, this is how my backstory is working. Can we kind of play off that with your backstory? And again, it's a sign of respect for each other's creations, quite frankly, artist appreciating artist
Yeah.
in that respect. So it was wonderful, the complexity it brought into the game, not just the campaign story, but also their own stories and how they started weaving them together. So it was just kind of lovely, quite frankly.
So my next question is, do you have a favorite moment from behind the scenes of ICP? Obviously things that you can share, but is there any moment that stands out to you?
Yes, it was when I had to step in for B-Dave for the
That's right.
Yes, for the one where why am I blanking on the name?
It was Hunger of the Far Realms.
Yeah. Yes, Hunger of the Farm Realm. So it's when I had to jump into that, and it was the Tiamat heavy episode where Tiamat was basically going to be talking with everyone individually. So apparently I had this thing for playing maniacal. So it was when I was doing Tiamat's voice, which is this, the way I saw Tiamat and personality wise was sort of this charmingly conniving.
Yeah.
In a way. So it's just this sinuous voice that just sort of feeds into your mind and pulls things out and then pops it back in just for a moment type of thing. And so I was doing that voice, and then our group chat in Discord started pinging me like, oh my God, this voice is creeping me out. Keep going. So I'm trying to keep
I could totally see that group doing that.
They did. So I'm trying not to crack up. Yeah. It's just Holly and Anna, oh my God, the two of them are like, yes, more. And
this
then
is
Kristen
going to give me
in,
nightmares.
Like,
keep going.
Exactly. So that was definitely a fun behind the scenes moment, watching their reactions to everything and then trying to stay on screen like, no, I'm Tiamat. I'm scary, yo, and not just start cracking up and breaking that fourth wall.
Oh boy, yeah. And I'm just realizing now, I'm just like, oh, I've never actually done a Tiamat voice in a game, because like the only time I used her was at the very end of Tyranny of Dragons, and that's kind of just an all-out brawl. Yeah. There's not a lot of time for talk there. Now I have to figure, I'm like, oh, what would my Tiamat voice be? Well, we're getting close here for doing the giveaway. Our awesome mod Gabe will get that going here in a little bit. But I did want to start transitioning things over to some other things that you've done, and I wanted to ask, do you have any? Can you give any spoilers for upcoming Paint and Slay minis?
Oh, I just had fun sitting down for summertime. I like to play a little bit too much. So what I wanted to do for summer is really pull in nods to things you can expect coming up in game that'll be thematically tied towards what we're painting on show. Because I've had a lot of fun with the Orkira, right here, doing the Orkira kit bash, because we had that fantastic Orkira. So I was like, okay, this has been fun to do. And it was like, around when the skin launched and everything like that. So you're going to notice, this is like a little Easter egg thing for everyone. You're going to notice that as we do things with Paint and Slay over the summertime, there's going to be reasons why I am doing each of these minis. Okay. Like there's going to be a connection point to work with. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, no spoilers right now, because that would be too big of spoilers. Yeah. I like that though. That's really cool. Yeah. So a majority of them have been picked because I'm like, oh, that would be a really good fit for this particular thing happening in game. Yeah. There's a couple where it's kind of like, like there's something that we're gonna have to film ahead of time as a pre-recording because I'm not going to be in the country by. So that's going to be a little bit of like okay. But everything else, I pretty much try to keep it as thematically close to in-game stuff as I could. See, now I'm really hoping that at some point in the future we do another thing with Tiamat, so that you all have to finally paint that giant Tiamat.
Dang. Have you seen the size of that Tiamat?
Yeah, she right there.
Chat, have you seen the size of that Tiamat? I'm debating if I should get up and pick up that Tiamat because
I'm so scared.
It's so big.
Yeah.
That would be like that would be a long time.
Yeah, I know. I was like, what would you estimate would be the amount of episodes that would take? Break out the paint rollers, says someone in chat. Oh, that's so good.
That would probably be a good 4 to 5 months if we're doing it once a week with no between work. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna attempt to grab my.
Yeah, I can get it. I can grab. Oh, you're gonna get it?
Okay.
I can get mine quick. Yeah, hold on.
Yours also don't have a blurred camera, so it won't blur out.
All right, hold on. She lives above one of.
Oh my god! I even have her right here, and I'm just like, the thing is huge.
Yeah. So this is Tiamat. So her wingspan is literally like wider than my shoulders. So
yeah.
It's a big mini. It would take a very, very long time. I mean, it's bigger than my cat's.
Chaz is on a good one right now. Quote, okay, today we're going to be painting the left rear foot.
Just did. I mean, you want sense of scale.
Yeah.
Here's Orkira.
Yeah.
To Tiamat. This is taking us 3 episodes already.
Yeah. Someone said 1 out of 72 scale.
So yeah, that would be very interesting.
Yeah, that would be an interesting one for sure. Good. Oh man.
Yeah.
I have this memory in my head of B Dave. He got that miniature. He got that statue during Comic-Con, and I was down there with him, and he carried around this giant box everywhere, and I'm like, how are you gonna get that home? He's like, I'm just gonna put it on the train seat next to me. So just stuck it on the train next to him, just arm up.
Yep. It is your child now.
Yes.
Have
fun. Okay, we with the giveaway is primed and ready. Gabe will be starting it here in the chat soon, so you can put in the keyword. Just put it in once. And you can enter for a chance to win 42 chests of your choice, excluding Bahamut chests. You could get some Voronika chests with that. Just saying.
Of course you want the chests. Get the chests.
What? Oh, the keyword is Rory Cat.
I love it.
Oh. Legally adopting your Tiamat.
Want a custody battle now? She mine.
She mine. Okay, so going with painting minis and whatnot. This one I'm curious about, because I have shown you my box of shame that is the amount of unpainted minis I had, and I'm curious. Do you have any unpainted minis that you are really excited to get to but haven't had a chance to yet?
Oh yeah, I do. It's speaking of Voronika, they are these 3 busts from Warhog that are stunning.
That first one you did was absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah. So Warhog has these beautiful bust miniatures and plaque miniature style things. And there were these 3 separate busters like, okay, I could work with these and make them the various iterations of Voronika. So there's one that I'm going to make to look like the Bride Druid. So how Voronika looked before. There's one I'm going to make to look like Ghost Voronika. And then there's one I'm going to make to look like Dark Lord. So have like the trilogy going. And I'm hoping I can get to that maybe over the summertime. We shall see. It's just, it has been so fast-paced. Cool. Yeah. But that's the plan. So I'm going to have these 3 separate busts just kind of lined up and going. And I'm toying around with kind of doing like each one gets a monochromatic treatment. So it's like the Druid bust would be mostly like greens and yellows, and the Ghost bust would be mostly like blues and grays. And then the Dark Lord bust would be mostly blacks and reds. I'm toying with that idea. So we'll see. But yeah, that's really cool. That's definitely I need to get to those, and I want to get to those. It's just I have not had the time and breathing space to sit down
Yeah.
and creatively think about what I want to do for each one individually.
Yeah. Yeah, a question just popped in my head that I don't think I've ever asked you about. Like, when you do in-person games, and I don't know if you do any of those very often anymore, but like, do you try and get the miniatures for them and get them painted ahead of time or anything like that?
Not
No.
as much anymore. No,
Yeah.
no. I will use like maps and stuff. And it used to be I would do terrain and everything, but what I noticed is that when jumping in and using minis in terrain, it almost becomes a sort of not a distraction, but it breaks my flow in terms of like telling the story and getting things going. So I prefer to kind of do mostly theater of the mind, and then for like really big battles, if need be, like break out a map and sort of like,
Yeah.
and here's where this is and that is and everything like that. So ironically, I love painting miniatures and I love painting terrain and creating terrain and everything like that and building these worlds. But I think I'm finding that I am more the type who would love to create the diorama to reflect an event that happened in game than to create the terrain to be played for the game.
Oh man, my sister-in-law did this. Reaper Mini did this one set one time where it was this ruined castle with a dragon on it, and she actually she what is it called when you're using the green stuff and whatnot? She did that with. Oh no, not the flocking, the moldable stuff. Like kit bashing.
Stuff.
Yeah. Like she essentially kit bashed the dragon to look like a blue dragon, and she made it the diorama of her party fighting the big bad, oh my god, the giant ancient blue dragon whose name I cannot remember right now, but I have the magic card up. From Storm King's Thunder. But
oh dang it, yeah, I don't remember that name.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing what it looks like right now too in my head.
Thank you. There we go. Thank you, Jamie Unyielding. But yeah, did this amazing diorama and got minis for her player characters and set them up all on there, and it was one of the coolest looking things I've ever seen. But yeah, I used to do that where I tried to get the mini ready ahead of time, and over the last like 3 years, I've been playing majoritively Theater of the Mind. But my players recently, because they just hit 18th level, and they're like, okay, we need to like see what we're doing.
Yeah, that's like, fair.
I'm like, okay, that's fair. So I finally started using a virtual tabletop. But I also have the Hero Forge thing where you can get the token of them. And so this last week, I actually was like, oh, you know what? I have that. I'm going to use it. And so I made all of these minis in Hero Forge and then got the tokens of them to put in it. And I'm like, okay, that scratched that itch enough for right now.
Yeah, that definitely helps for sure.
Yeah, it was kind of cool actually having good representation of what they are fighting instead of just that bandit is a skeleton.
Yep, that's not the what is it? These aren't the droids you're looking for.
These aren't the droids you're looking for, exactly. So one of the other things I wanted to bring up, you when we talked about Voronika there a little bit ago, you recently played Voronika in a charity game. How did that go?
She in trouble.
Oh, is she?
Just a tiny little bit. Just a scratch. Look, like I said, she's chaotically evil. She saw an opportunity to get them all out of there, and she's like, well, clearly this person is trying to go out. I'm trying not to give spoilers either in case people want to watch it.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair.
So she's like, okay, so here's this creature who is definitely like hell-bent on getting out to this. So she's just going to be like, all right, cool. Then go after this person. That was literally her thought process. She's like, let's get us out. And she's like, we'll deal with the problem afterwards.
There you go.
There we go. That's the thing that we've done.
For context, for folks who may not know, it was an all Dark Lords game. So Johnny Stat was playing Strahd von Zarovich. Oh boy.
Sup, dude? It was honestly one of the best interpretations of Strahd that I've seen in a while, because it wasn't just like, I want to suck your blood. It was speeches that way.
Totally. Wow.
It was great. It was like, so Strahd is kind of like young again in a way, like, which made sense because he was kind of
Yeah.
interpreting like, Strahd had come back after having been defeated by the Black Die Society type of thing. So yeah. But yeah, it was a fun collection of all the Dark Lords and us working together for things.
I can't imagine that went well with Mark playing Aslan.
I mean, well, that's just it. You have Aslan and Vornik in the same group. They're both opportunists. Aslan saw what Vornik and he's like, I'm out.
I'm pretty sure I told Mark this when I had him on the show, but legitimately, I don't think I've ever been scared of someone in a live stream game until I saw him play Aslan fighting them. And he was just like, yep, time stop, disintegrate you.
Yep.
Absolutely horrifying.
Oh, yeah. And I also love the fact that Aslan and Vornik have like this total frenemy thing going. Like they actually kind of enjoy each other's company, but really don't want to admit that.
Oh boy, I love the idea of frenemies and Ravenloft.
Well, I mean, the two of them are kind of like, okay, so Strahd's a pain, and let's work on this together. Is really what it kind of boils down to.
I remember someone during Champions of Lore suggested that we needed to do Real Housewives of Waterdeep, and now I want Real Housewives of Ravenloft. Real Dark Lords of Ravenloft.
Oh, but see, that could be fun because then we could get Whittle in on it.
Oh,
because Whittle is,
yeah. That would be really cool. I like that.
I'm not at all putting this into my little file. One shot concept. What?
Someone in chat. This is Zujin68 says, question: where can I find this charity stream? Do you know where? Do you know where it's living?
That's a good question. It was for Wava, which changed their name, and I'm trying to remember what it is now.
Did they?
SLSC something or other, I want to say.
SAL, or is this it? I can't. I just went to Twitch, so it is. It's SALAL. Here I'm gonna copy and paste their.
I don't know if it's still living there as a VOD, but that's where it was.
Yeah, I'm gonna put this in here. So this is the Twitch name for it. They may also have a YouTube account, but it was a charity to help out this extremely awesome organization, and I didn't know that they changed their name, so I'm glad that I know that now.
Yes. They changed it like 3 days after the event happened. I was like, oh, that's a thing.
Oh, okay, there you go. Yeah. Well, we have a viewer question that I think will be an interesting conversation to have.
Okay.
The Cassius335 says, question: now that V has a character in ICP that didn't have to be in Isle Champions first, will there be any slots for such exceptions in the future ICPs, or is that a remaining quote in case of tech issues break glass thing?
That's a case of tech issues break glass type of thing. That was an emergency decision to make. Really, our whole thing is wanting to bring in content creators and work with a variety of people and have them bring beloved characters to life. So, we've done the thing where it's like bringing in new content creators to create a new champion, like we did with Solar and Myria. I think that would be the closest we come to having a new character brought in, but with the intention of it being a champion. Leanne is she's just her own girl doing her own thing. That's all, folks. She's just there for moral support. That's her story, and she's sticking to it. Yep.
Yeah, because we do the votes and more importantly the rewards for the players. Like we want you to have things for these characters, and be able to get chests for them and feats for them and skins for them. And while I do completely understand like having characters in it that aren't in the game, it's that's what Isle Champions Presents is about, is like getting these characters in there, or at least these content creators making this new character that was originally specifically for the game, and now in playing them, it's an interesting thing to see. It does look like someone said that the VOD for that game is still up.
Oh, cool.
I'm gonna try.
It lives.
Yes, I'm gonna try real quick and see if I can grab that and put the link, because
that's right. Yes, that's it. The fun, God. What did you do?
I didn't mute it. It was very loud. Okay, I got it right here. So, chat. There you go. If you're listening to this in the far-flung future on YouTube, I apologize. But the what's the name again? It is SLALSVSC.
Yes.
So you can go check them out on there. Oh god, apparently there was a lot of popular clips from that session too.
A lot of things happened. We did a lot. We said a lot.
Oh boy. Well,
like CR stat blocks of 30.
Oh yeah, it's being even a charity game, of course. I don't
like,
think
this was even level 20. This was like amped up beyond level 20. I was like, oh my god.
I'm fairly certain that for charity games, B-Dave doesn't look at CRs. He just looks at size categories. Yes. Is it gargantuan? Yeah, sure, go in there.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Well, V, thank you so much for sitting down and talking with me today. This was an absolute blast, as always. Y'all got a little view into what it's like to be in a meeting with us.
There's this clip that floats around like Instagram and YouTube Shorts and TikTok Reels every so often. And it's these two people who are just cracking up. And it's like, the top text says, please let us sit together 2 minutes later and play.
Yeah, no, that's true. It is a good thing that we have mainly Zoom meetings so that we can just chat through there instead of in person. We would be disruptive. Well, V, if people want to find you and what you do on the interwebs, where could they do so?
They can find me as V_Muse on Twitter and as Vee Mus'e on other places in some way, shape, or form. Whether there's a, TCM attached to it on Instagram, because that's the Crafting Muse channel, my YouTube channel. So honestly, I hate saying Twitter's like the best place to find me right now, but that's like where I tend to.
I think it's mainly just active. Saying Twitter is the best place is just, it doesn't flow right.
No. You can find me at Twitter and then find me elsewhere from Twitter. Let's put it that way.
There we go.
And then every Friday I'm painting minis and definitely not maxis. I'm looking at T-Met right over here. Like, I'm honest. I realized I started leaning away from.
That wing claw is dangerous. It's so dangerous.
That has seriously injured me and other people. Anyways. So yeah, that's honestly, it's kind of what I'm up to right now. And, I'll announce if other things are coming down the pipeline, but I've kind of moved from doing in front of house streams to doing more behind the scenes or just off camera games. So I'm playing games. I'm in like 3 games every single week, but it's just not on the interwebs.
And that is what we like to call self-care. All right. Well, thank you again for taking the time to talk with me today and getting this behind the scenes look at Isle Champions Presents. And we got a whole bunch of Isle Champions Presents you can watch right now on our YouTube channel. So go check that out. But that is going to do it for this week's episode of Idle Insight. So until next week, take care of yourself.
Oh, and there's a special announcement. Stay tuned.
Oh, that's right. There is a special announcement that's starting right after I'm done talking. Thank you for being the awesome producer.
This is why I produce.
Hey, it's me again for another news update. Nixie from the One for All, the Awful Ones, is coming to the game following up on Antreus. And this tiefling sorcerer is ready to throw fireballs at literally everything in the game. Maybe even some of the other champions. Who knows? But you can collect her next week during the event when it goes live. Our Champion Spotlight is live right now. And you can learn more and anything you need to know about Nixie and all of the fireballs, again, that she will throw at everything. Be careful. Your computer might catch fire. Maybe it's a side effect. We're not liable for anything. So yeah, be sure to check that out right now with the Champion Spotlight, and then next week in the event where you can collect her. That's going to do it for this news thing, I guess. So yeah, bye.